In December 2017, President Trump signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Its job is to make America great again. My job today is to explain to you guys what it contains and how it will affect the economy. So let's go. Hey guys, hope you're doing great. Welcome to EconTube, the channel for people who are fascinated about economy like myself. If you're also one of them, remember to subscribe for more economic related content. That said, let's begin talking about the whole situation concerning the tax reform bill for the US. The plan for this video is that we'll first talk about how the reform affects the companies in the US, thereafter we'll look at its impact on the taxpayers, and then at last how many dollars it will add to the nation's debt. So, the companies in the US will be affected by the tax reform in terms of the act lowers the maximum corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. Furthermore, this rate will actually be the lowest since 1939 in America, so it's a huge cut. However, it will not have the same impact as you think, considering most companies don't pay the top rate today. On average, the effective rate is in fact only 18%. This is due to the big corporations have tax attorneys that help them to pay less in taxes. Then again, small and medium-sized companies are paying a lot of taxes, so they will be impacted by this. Moreover, the tax cut causes that the companies will gain a higher profit, so there will be more money to investments. That's great because that generates employment, people will thereby have more money in their pockets, the demand will increase, and so on. Generally speaking, it will most likely be good for the economy. Similarly, it has also been estimated that the tax reform will in 2018 boost the US GDP with 0.8%. Later on in this video, I will also show you a real example of how this extra profit will benefit the taxpayers/workers from one of the biggest companies in the US, so remember to stay with me. Anyway, because the US had before the tax reform one of the highest corporate tax rate, the big corporation had a lot of money overseas. This tax cut will help the money that are overseas to flow back into the country. Apple has, for instance, approximately $250 billion in overseas securities, and the CEO has in a long time called on Washington to bring home overseas capital. So this might be the right time to do that. The next thing we'll look at is how the tax reform will affect the taxpayers in the US. So, in general, the bill will lower taxes for 95% of the population in America. However, there's a big difference between the size of the cost for the poorest and the wealthiest. To give you an illustration of what I mean, then the Tax Policy Center has estimated that the taxpayers earning less than $25,000 will in 2018 receive an average tax cut of $60. Those earning between $49,000 and $86,000 will get an average cut of approximately $900. Those earning between $308,000 and $733,000 will receive an average cut of $13,500. And those earning more than $733,000 will receive an average cut of $51,000. Similarly, if you also look at the following table, which indicates how the tax bracket will change in 2018, then you will see that those earning between $0 and $9,525 are not experiencing any changes at all, whereas the ones who earn over $500,000 yearly will get a 2.6% tax cut. Consequently, just by this, the richest one are getting more out of the reform. When I saw this for the first time, I was really confused why the tax cuts were distributed like this. Because wouldn't it have been better for the US economy if the biggest tax cuts were made for the lower and middle class, considering they will most likely use the money on consumption, whereas many of the richest have already so many things that the extra money they will receive from the tax cut will just go to savings, and that will not help the economy at all. This is not even the worst part, because again has the Tax Policy Center estimated that when the tax cut for the taxpayers are done in 2027, the lower and the middle class will actually pay more in taxes, whereas the richest will still benefit for the tax reform and pay less in taxes. All of this will basically create more inequality in the society. And isn't there already enough inequality in the country? Let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. What's more, the Republicans are actually aware of this, although they still think it's a good idea, since it will create so much prosperity in the US that it will benefit the lower and the middle class as well. One way that the tax reform will help the lower and middle class, according to them, is by the fact that it will create more well-paid jobs. With this in mind, Walmart has already announced that they will use some of its savings from the tax reform on raising the minimum starting wage from $9 to $11, as well as give bonuses up to $1,000 to employees. Likewise, Fiat Chrysler announced that it will give a $2,000 bonus to 60,000 hourly and salaried employees. On the other hand, many experts predict that the savings from the corporate tax will more likely go to shareholders via dividends or stock buyback. And do you know where most of the shareholders for the corporations are situated in terms of the income distribution? They are on the top. So we will see if this tax reform will help the lower and middle class as promised, or it will just make the richest people richer. Anyway, let's talk about the tax reform's impact on the US debt. So the debt is currently at around $20 trillion, and the bill is expected to add more than $1 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years. This is in behalf of the tax cut causes that the government will lose billions in tax revenues. Considering it has already through the years had billions and even trillions of dollars in budget deficit, then this seems like a bad idea for the debt, especially when you realize how high of an interest rate you'll have to pay for this debt. This can definitely slow down the economy, so hopefully the tax reform will create enough prosperity so the government can finally begin paying off its debt. When that is said, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like or a dislike whether you like this video or not. A subscribe could also be awesome if you can supply one since I demand it. Anyway guys, see you next time.